Hello and welcome back. I'm Holly and you're watching 𝐊𝐶𝐞 TV live from Sydney. This is the Stocks in Action show. Let's have a look at the ASX 200 and the ASX listed stocks that are trending today. The 20th of May witnessed Australian indices ending their session in green, with ASX 200 ending 0.66% up, attaining back the 7,000 mark on the back of upbeat domestic employment data, and a stronger Wall Street closing led by gains in technology stocks. The S&P ASX 200 is up today, gaining 24.60 points, or 0.35% to 7,044.20 and crossing above its 50-day moving average. The top performing stocks in this index are EML Payments Limited, up 9.62%, and Pro Medicus Limited, up 5.21%. Over the last 5 days, the index has gained 0.43% and is currently 1.79% of its 52-week high. 9 of 11 sectors are higher, along with the S&P ASX 200 index. Information technology is the best performing sector, gaining 3.64% and 8.13% for the past 5 days. On that note, let's quickly glance through some major market movements globally. Major stock indices around the globe closed higher on Thursday, with the S&P 500 and Nasdaq Composite climbing more than 1% each, led by a sharp rally in technology shares, while the US Treasury yields softened after a weaker than expected US business activity reading. The yield on benchmark 10-year Treasury notes fell 1.628%, and the break-even rate on 5-year US Treasury inflation-protected securities, or TIPS, slid to 2.608%. The Dow Jones rose 0.55% to 3,084.2, while the S&P 500 gained 1.06% to 4,159.1. Nasdaq Composite shot up by 1.77%. In the foreign exchange market, the dollar lost ground and fell 0.503%, hovering near multi-month lows. The Australian dollar jumped 0.59% to 0.771 on Thursday after labour force data depicted a faster than expected decline in unemployment in April. And cryptocurrencies bounced back sharply from their recent sharp drop, but were well off the day's highs during the late trading hours. The recovery in crypto space came after crypto backers such as ARK Invest's Cathie Wood indicated their support on Wednesday. Bitcoin was most recently up by 9.15% at $40,090 after plummeting 54% below its all-time high, hit just over a month ago after some of its prominent backers reiterated their support. And now moving on to some of the important news from the commodities space. Crude oil prices plummeted nearly 2% on Thursday, registering a third consecutive day of losses on the news that diplomats plan to waive off US sanctions on Iran that will lift the market's crude oil supply. And July delivery Brent crude oil futures traded 0.45% up at 65.22 US per barrel, whereas WTI crude oil futures for July delivery traded at 62.13 US per barrel, up 0.31%. The talk related to sanctions on oil, insurance, petrochemical, shipping and the central bank is underway, said Iranian President Hassan Rouhani in a TV speech. Indian refiners plan to make room for Iranian oil in the second half of this year, in the hopes that US sanctions will be lifted. And the dampen Asian energy demands, especially in India, amid rising coronavirus cases, also weighed on the oil prices. Meanwhile, Sultan Ahmed Al Jaber, chief executive of ADNOC, stated that the global demand for crude oil has jumped to 95 million BPD. Well, on that note, let's have a look at some major news from the ASX listed companies. Healthcare sector will be dominating the stocks in action session, along with the consumer sector and mining. Let's have a glance at the first piece of big news. Tombador Iron secures an operating license for Tombador project. Production commenced. Tombador Iron Limited has secured an operating license for the Tombador project for a period of 5 years. The license has been granted under the Ordinance number 23.032 by the Environmental Agency of the State of Bahia, that was published in the Bahia State Official Gazette on the 20th of May. Moreover, the company has initiated the mining production of high-grade hematite at the Tombador mine site, and crushing of this is progressing along with stockpiling of lump and fines products. T11 is working closely with Trafigura to plan the first shipments anticipated in the third quarter of the current year. Tombador Iron Limited stock was trading at Australian 0.110 at 10:44 a.m. And now moving on to the next big news. 𝐷igitalX Limited declares strategic investment into Bitcoin and digital asset markets. 𝐷igitalX Limited has announced the decision to make a further strategic investment into the 𝐷igitalX Digital Asset Fund, or DAF, up to 750,000 Australian dollars, as the DAF has steered robust asset price appreciation for 𝐷igitalX since inception, and for all investors in the fund. The decision comes after the board has been continuously keeping an eye on the performance of the digital asset fund in the markets, and moreover, the recent pullback in prices of digital assets indicates an opportunity for the company to double its investment into the Digital Assets Fund, or DAF. 𝐷igitalX Limited stock was spotted trading at Australian 0.061 at 10:44 a.m. Meanwhile, this ASX listed stock is making headlines today. Jefferies optimistic about expanding operations of Gold Road Resources. Jefferies has commenced coverage of the gold explorer Gold Road Resources Limited with a buy rating and a price target of Australian 1.65. The brokerage appreciates the expanding production at GOR's mine in Western Australia and believes that there is an operational upside of the project. Jefferies also believes that there is a potential for expanding the Gruyere operations if sufficient reserves are discovered from continuing drilling work. Gold Road Resources Limited stock was spotted increasing at 8.3% this year, as of the previous close of yesterday. Gold Road Resources Limited has been trading at Australian 1.440. And now moving on to the next big piece of news, which comes to us from XTEX. XTEX has signed MOU with Meccano ID. XTEX Limited and French space technology company Meccano ID have entered into a memorandum of understanding to pursue international and Australian space market opportunities as partners. It should be highlighted that Meccano ID is an established French space system supplier, accredited in Europe and proven supplier to ESA, CNES, and NASA programs, while XTEC is developing a sovereign space program design, qualification, and manufacturing capabilities within Australia. XTEC's novel processing technology will be coupled with Meccano ID's proven experience in space system development and qualification. 𝐊𝐴𝐥 Limited stock was trading at Australian 0.525 per share at 10:44 a.m. Meanwhile, this ASX listed stock is in the news today. ACCC offers to authorise Honeysuckle Health and nib buying group. The Australian Competition and Consumer Commission on the 21st of May shared that it has issued a draft determination proposing to authorise Honeysuckle Health and nib Health funds to create and run health services buying group. This group may sustain for a period of 5 years. The offered authorisation will feature a condition limiting the size of the buying group. The ACCC is now waiting for submissions on the draft determination. According to the ASX release, the Honeysuckle Health buying group plans to collectively negotiate and manage contracts with the healthcare providers on the behalf of private health insurers and other healthcare payers who join the group. Honeysuckle Health and nib Health funds stock was spotted trading at Australian 6.050 per share at 10:44 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Alright then, that is all for now. Stay tuned with 𝐊𝐶𝐞 TV for more live market updates. We'll be back with more news on the markets, economy and diverse themes and sectors. This is Holly Shields signing off.